I am so excited to share that my latest book on collage, Fragments, is out and now available on Amazon. It looks short, but it actually has a few components to it that are super special. One is, first of all, it talks about the process behind the practice. Then it gives you 52 weeks of different sets of prompts to find certain types of items that by the end of the week you're going to put into a collage. I'm going to show you an example of the first prompt set. And then what is especially cool is that at the end, there are different ways to use the prompts outside of collage. So if you're interested in using things like tarot or oracle, or maybe even using the prompts for journaling or writing, there are ways to do that with the prompts. So if you're interested in this book, it's now out on Amazon, so be sure to go check that out, and I will leave the link to purchase this book in the description below. But I want to show you what the first prompt set and kind of an example of what it looks like or what kind of you're doing here. So first of all, there's a list of certain different items, and let me just check what they were. I don't remember off my head. One is a piece of torn or fragmented text. So that's what we see here. And I just used some of my little edged scissors and I cut out this fragmented text, right? I kind of went straight through part of the text. Obviously the full text would have been more of a rectangle, kind of randomly from some, ephemera that I had. And once I had, pasted everything later on, I went back and I just highlighted words that stood out to me in it. And then the next thing was something you pass by regularly. So that's what this is here. And this was a business card. This is when my now husband and I were in our wedding planning phase. This was just a business card from a potential vendor that I had laying around, and I've noticed it for many days, and I was like, that's what I will put into my collage for this week. And then the third one is a word printed in a color. So down here is the word beyond. It's written in blue. This came from a children's book that I had that I've been using for various collage purposes, and I chose this word because in the moment it just called to me, it just stood out to me, so I went with that. Right, there's this kind of meta process that I talk about a little bit in the book of using this process as a way to kind of like tap into your intuition, knowing what it is that you're drawn to, kind of going along that vein. The next thing is something that reminds you of childhood. So I had these little, like My Little Pony, various little sticker things. So of course I absolutely use that. When I read the prompt, the first thing that popped into my head was something for My Little Pony anyway. A small piece of everyday ephemera. So that's what this is. This is cut out from a coffee cup. There's a really cool coffee cup from a local coffee shop that has lots of really cool little icons on there, little like drawings on their cups. So I just cut that out. And then there's a bonus. Each week has a bonus. And that bonus for this week was a pale lavender, right? So there's lots of different ways to think about what pale lavender is. So I incorporated that in a few different ways. One is the background. So before I put all my, collage items on this page, I used like some various distress paints, acrylics, gesso, of course, spray ink, and I really kind of used that pale lavender for my background. But then I got this a book. It was a used book, and there was, I guess, used as a bookmark, interestingly, this very same week, this little piece of lavender paper with some kind of a little like hand-drawn doodle on it, I guess. So I used that as well. And then I added like little bits of embellishment. I did it for this particular practice, unlike my other collage practices where I, really add a lot of different types of ephemera and embellishments and all that. I wanted to keep the focus really centered on the prompts for the week, right? So I didn't add too much outside of them. I, went around this, bordered it a little bit with an acrylic marker. I added the highlighting here, added some washi tape, and then a little sticker, but that was pretty much it, pretty minimal. Now, what is really special about my collage prompts and this practice, this year-long practice, is that one of the parts of the process at the end of making your collage is to kind of like step back and look at it and notice, right? Just kind of taking it all in, right? And it's not about, figuring it out or coming to some, big, deep conclusion, but it's just kind of noticing that inner, like more intuitive reaction or response, like what catches your attention, what surprises you, something that you keep looking at. So I offer a little bit of some guided questions for that little bit of reflection. And I was trained in drama therapy, and sometimes we would talk about an aesthetic response. So if you wanted to, you could make a response to your weekly collage in a different way. So maybe like writing a little bit about it, or a story, or creating another collage in response. But it's almost like you've created this and then you're creating a response to it. So that's like something else if you're very inspired to kind of like keep going back and forth and having that one piece inspires a different piece. Anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. But in any case, for me, there's this playful energy to this. It's also it just feels very fun to me, very magical, right? And then I really, was attracted to that word beyond, this idea of something beyond the ordinary, right? Very magical, right? There's this like, spaceship, lots of little like icons here. And then like the words that I highlighted, the light shifts, shadows, time of autumn. I really like that time of autumn because that's like the season that we are transitioning into. So one thing that I really like to do sometimes is sum something up in one word. Like, what is one word that would describe this? And so for me, I would be like playful or magical, but there's this really, like I said, this really kind of fun energy that to me comes through this week. Nothing big, nothing deep, but it would be interesting to see, how your creations evolve throughout the year. So I hope you like this. I hope you find this interesting. If you, check out my book and do the practice, I would love to see the types of collages that you come up with, because it's so interesting to see how different people can react and respond to the same prompt, particularly when they are so open-ended. Speaking of group work, I love working with groups. I have a group coming up that I'm currently enrolling folks in. It's about navigating life transitions. I have a previous video on it. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please feel free to email me. My email is in the description box below. If you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more super creative ways for self-exploration and personal growth.